One more field that we are going to add is a shared with. So shared with is a email list separated by comma. That's the format we expect. So we need to do some validation and the saving with some processing needed. So anyway, let's copy this text form field and paste. So initial value is the list of emails. So those are, as I go back to the book, the shared with is a list of emails as an array or list in Dart language. But in display, it's going to be one text though. So we need to do some conversion. So initial value is book copy shared with this is a array. So we call join function, join with a comma. So each element in the list will be joined by comma and then to string converted to a string data. So that's how we want to display the info on the text field. And the label text is shared with a comma separated email list. That's what we expect as a format. And then auto correct false, and validator is validate shared with and save shared with. So those two functions we need to do some processing. So let's implement those part. First, validation string validate shared with just one long string comes in, and then we need to check whether the long string is a comma separated email list or not. First, if a value is null or value, and let's trim leading blanks or trailing blanks. After that, if this is empty, so that is fine. So the shared width is not specified at all, meaning that it's not, we are not going to share with anybody else. Then that is okay. So it's acceptable. That's not error in validation. No sharing is there. So otherwise, comma separated list comes in, then we need to verify if each list is email or not. So email, we get value is one long string, and the string has a split function. So using comma as a token and then split a long list, then each token you get as in this variable email. So and then in this loop, so for each word separated by comma, then email we need to verify that. You can have some complex email regular expression, or so far we just checked whether it contains dot and comma. So email contains dot and the email contains at. Those two things we have checked. So what we got here is in this parenthesis that is a correct condition. So as two conditions are satisfied, existence of a dot and at, that's correct email. But if I negate the logic here, which means that's a wrong email, then what you do is return enter comma separated email list. So we have detected one component which is not necessarily email address there. Once we check everything in this loop, then validation is okay. That's validating email list. Then save shared with the string, and the long list in one string comes in, then we need to convert this one as a list and then save it in a book that shared with the list there. So let's double check. Well, in this case, the empty or null value is still acceptable, so we need to avoid that. So if value is null or value after trimming is empty, then we could just return. We don't need to save anything at all. Shared list is just empty. Otherwise, we need to process that. So what we want to do is as follows. The value we get is a one long list. If we do split function call with a comma, then it generates a list. So it's going to be list in string type email list. We receive that. So one long string is converted into list, and each element is just one email is there. Then what you do is a for email in email list, which do is a state book copy shared with the add each email after trim it. So So you may enter something like this. For example, if assume this is shared with, then you may enter one at uco.edu, comma, and some blank, something like that, edu, something like that, and then you give some blank and comma. So leading and trailing white spaces, we need to trim that and then add into shared with the list. The shared with is book copy. Book copy is coming from empty constructor call, and the empty constructor call, the empty list is initial value, so we can just use that initial value and then add that. So that's how to save the email list as a shared. Okay, so in this let's test up to here, restart. Sign in, add, so image, book title, author, and the shared list comes. So next one we need to add a button, submit the button there. So book page. One last thing we need to add is raise the button, child text, add button, and on pressed controller. Let's call it function save. Actually, this is adding a new book, or it may be in the later we are going to use edit the existing book as well. So save may work for both cases. So let's call save, and then controller. Now we are ready to give a save function. In save function, we know that if state, we need to validate first the form key, current state, validate. If validation fails, just stop there. Otherwise, now we can save form key, current state, save there. So once it's saved, we can verify the information. But one thing is the shared list, whether shared list is working correctly or not. So let's print the shared list, shared with the info. That is a state book copy shared with to string. So let's verify if the validation in the saving, converting from one long string into a list is correctly working or not. Let's verify that. So let's restart for testing. Okay, add image URL and the like. If we simply do save, it's all error. HTTP something, and the book title, author 2000 is fine. And shared list, we can test that if we give one at UCO edu, two at uco.edu, because there's no comma separation, it should be an error. So save. The error message does not show up. So validate. So it's not null. So we come down here, and then because there is a no comma, the validation passes. There's no comma. Those two together is considered as a one email. And then the validation is only existence of dot at those. We have two of those together, and that passes. So if we have more than one at, or if we have any blanks, that should be treated as error and the like. So we have some loophole in checking the validity of emails. So let's fix that in the next video.